Hey friends, I hope you're doing well from whenever you're watching this and wherever you're watching this. Thank you for watching this video. I have been preluding to this video for a bit, and basically I just wanted to talk about why I created She Lives Purposefully, but from a much deeper level than I've ever gone before with you guys. I want to be real with you guys about its origin because while it is a really hard, angry season of my life, I think that it really speaks to the power of God and the power of knowing that He has a purpose for us. So I'm just going to dive right in. In the spring of 2018, I created She Lives Purposefully as a senior project as I was brainstorming in the back of my mind what to do. I was also processing kind of this past season of my life and was kind of having some personal life revelations. I think it's healthy to have them, and I have them a lot. I think it's just important to kind of reflect and see how you've grown and where the God has brought you. But anyway, so the season of my life that I was kind of processing started in the fall of 2014. I had just moved out to California for college, and in September of 2014, on a Wednesday, I got a call from my mom that my grandmom had been murdered in her home. It was an incredibly hard thing for me, obviously, to work through and try to understand and heal from. It was a very sad thing, a very sudden and tragic thing, a very angry thing. And at first, so I tried to kind of muster up the strength to process and move forward, just forcing myself to trust God, because that's what I thought you were supposed to do. I was kind of putting away all questions, all doubts, all anger, all sadness, like fears, ignoring them and pushing them away. Trying to, I guess, look at the bright side or whatever. But gradually, as time went on, all of those doubts and questions and thoughts that I had pushed away arose again because I had never really dealt with them. So truths that I had accepted my whole life became questions. Questions like, why does God allow bad things to happen? I felt so sad. I cried every single day for months. I remember moments where I would just cry aloud up into the sky in frustration and in pain, wondering like how God could allow this. Why were these things happening? Where was He? And just so many other thoughts. All along the way, I did feel like God was kind of revealing Himself to me in different ways that I think a lot of people could write off as coincidental, but to me it was too timely and too personal to be coincidental, to be anything else but divine. But I still felt unmet and unhealed, and I felt very broken. Because ultimately the thought in my mind was that He didn't stop this tragedy from happening. So I still just felt very hurt. But so for a few months I was kind of in this headspace where in one sense I was really staying steadfast to the Lord and like trying to, process this pain through that. But in this other sense, just being so confused and so broken. Then in the March of 2015, so this is multiple months later, days before going off to retreat, I remember just crying out to the Lord, frustrated, saying that, like, He had to meet me. Like, I couldn't kind of process this anymore on my own. I couldn't force the fight and try to have it all together anymore. I felt so broken and so weak, and I just couldn't do that anymore. It was almost this moment of giving up fighting the fight perfectly, which I wasn't doing anything, but I was trying to do. And just like realizing that like if I was going to get through this, it needed to be through God, because like there was just no way that I was going to be able to get out of this kind of like sad and angry state. So we went to a weekend retreat just like 3 days later, and the pastor opened up a passage, and it was 2 Corinthians 1. And 2 Corinthians 1 says, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of mercies and God of all comfort, who comforts us in all our affliction, so that we may be able to comfort those who are in any affliction with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted by God." And then it says, "If we are afflicted, it is for your comfort and salvation. And if we are comforted, it is for your comfort." And Paul is real too. He says, "For we were so utterly burdened beyond our strength that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we had felt that we had received the sentence of death, but that was to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God, who raises the dead. He delivered us from such a deadly peril, and he will deliver us. On him we have set our hope that he will deliver us again." I remember reading this and I almost felt just stunned. And I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but literally it was like the words were lifting off the page for me to like grasp. And it was like I had read them for the first time, which it wasn't the first time. It just struck me in such a way, like these truths that God was indeed the God of all comfort, that he wants us to spread that comfort, and that our pain and our comfort are bigger than ourselves. They're actually for other people, which is kind of the craziest concept that I had never really realized, I think, before. And again, that he's talking about like really hard things, burdens that are beyond our strength, but that they're supposed to help us rely on God and realize, like I just realized, that I couldn't do it by myself. And I think it was like the Lord just really communicating to me that like I could trust him and I could rely on him, because yes, my grandmom was murdered, but I have a God who raises the dead, and that I don't think it ever really hit me in that way before. Then in that moment, and you guys, he is just like, he showed me again that he's the God that comforts, and he is not careless, and he's there when burdens are indeed beyond our strength, because there will be burdens that are beyond our strength, and that he's our hope. And I just remember reading all of that, and it all hit me so hard. And in that moment, I just sat down and I wept, and it was this really honestly miraculous moment where all of the anger and pain and sadness and like season where I cried every day, all of it was gone. Like my heart felt totally healed, like instantaneously. Like that night I read those verses and I went from this angry, confused woman to like someone whose pain had miraculously disappeared. It was like God was so personally and so tangibly, like his hand just reached out to save in that moment. And in that moment I was free of anger and sadness, and in that moment I could finally look forward and see that there was something that God wanted me to do with the pain. There was a reason behind the pain. There was a purpose in the pain. So fast forward to 2018, as I'm trying to process the hardest season of my life, and I'm realizing that a major aspect of my healing and the way that God healed me was in showing me that there was purpose. For me specifically, purpose in pain. I think subconsciously I realized that, but it wasn't until 2018 like I kind of put it into words that that's what that was. And that healing and that idea of purpose in that, and that God has a purpose for us, and just the fact that he healed me miraculously aside from that really kickstarted a new way of life for me, a new perspective and a new heart. And I read a quote a while ago that says that purpose fuels passion, and this passion just kind of hit my soul so hard, and I wanted everybody to know that God could heal the most broken of hearts, that he cares so much. For me, it felt like all of the very tangible experiences of pain around me were all silenced by the fact that God poured out his care onto me. I knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that he was good and that he did care. The pain that I had been experiencing for those months, years ago, was so real, but then also the healing and the disappearance of it all was so real for me too. His healing and knowing that he had a purpose for me brought me out of this very sad place up into the mountaintop filled with joy. It made me look at every day as an opportunity to spread love and healing and Jesus. This concept of purpose made me want to live purposefully. This idea that God had a purpose for my life and every season in it made me want to live in a way that showed that I believed that. He showed me he had reason for pain, or rather that my pain could be used for good. And if there's purpose in pain, there's purpose in literally everything else. Like he showed me that I could use it to help and point people to the healer and help heal and listen and love and all of these things. So in 2018, I thought to myself, if purpose and this idea of it can absolutely heal me and give me a passion for life and totally transform the way I live, then why not use this senior project and this opportunity to express that to others and kind of share this idea for anybody who may be struggling with it or not realize that we do have purpose. I wanted people to be inspired. I want people to know that they have purpose, because if we all knew that we had purpose, if we all really believed that God had a purpose for our lives and a purpose for each season, what would we do? What would each of our lives look like? And what would be the impact that we could make? How would we live it differently, you know? And then I thought to myself, again, back in 2018, about all these incredible people that I know and how I know for a fact that they aren't who they are now because they lived passively. It was definitely a mentality, and it was a way of life. It was a belief. So I thought, why not find other women who feel the same way that I do about purpose, and we can just tell their stories on this platform. So I asked 6 different women from 6 different walks of life with 6 different stories to tell me their stories and share their thoughts on purpose. And that became She Lives Purposefully. I truly hope that these stories and now our blogs and just the Instagram posts on purpose impact you in the way that they impact me. I literally, I just feel so afresh, with, I guess, passion for purpose every time I interview someone, or someone shares this really great blog, or even just with the posts, the things that I'm sharing are impacting me too. And I hope that for you, because that is just the origin of it all, is to share purpose. Because again, it's God can heal, and he has a purpose for our lives. And I just think that those two things are such a powerful truth that can really begin to absolutely shape the way that we live. So anyway, that is the origin of She Lives Purposefully. I just thank you guys so much for listening, and for being with me on this She Lives Purposefully journey. Again, I hope and just pray that it is just so encouraging to you and exhorting to you, because it's all I have ever wanted out of it. Alrighty.